Very privileged to be able to welcome you along to this afternoon's session, which is, of course, the 5 qualities that female entrepreneurs need most in order to succeed. We've got 2 great speakers to share their insights with you this afternoon. First of all, Anne Andrews, CSP. Anne is a seriously inspirational entrepreneur and a futurist who spent 30 years as an HR specialist and today encourages people and businesses to learn, unlearn, and relearn so that they can face any challenge that might hit their lives, businesses, or careers. Anne's the author of 7 books and highly sought after for her training and insights and for public speaking. Following Anne this morning, we're going to have Rosina Webb, the founder and brand director of Energize. Rosina spent the last decade developing and successfully growing 2 SME businesses, Energize and also the SME School. She's known for being straight up and having a very effervescent personality. She's had a series of senior roles in a bunch of different large corporates and brings that experience into the local and SME marketplace. She's also been a judge at the New Zealand Marketing Awards and also a regular speaker at industry events and conferences. So this afternoon, we're going to be screen sharing. Anne's going to kick off and sharing her insights into the 5 qualities. Then we'll follow along with Rosina over the next hour or so. Thanks a lot for joining us. Just a quick reminder that this webinar is being recorded. So if there are any key points that you would like to circle back on or to find out some more about, you'll be able to do that and we'll be communicating with you after the session to share that information. But right now, what I'd like to do is hand over to Anne, who's going to commence with her presentation.
Oh, thank you so much, Grant. So welcome everyone, welcome. My background is not having been working with women. This is a very recent thing for me and I'm absolutely overjoyed to be doing it. So I'll talk you through a few of the things that led me to this area of working with people. It might be worthwhile you just thinking about what you think is one of the greatest qualities that women need to succeed. Because the ones I've chosen you may think are very different and ditto with what Rosina's chosen. So yeah, so if we can move to the, okay. So I'll tell you a little bit about my own entrepreneurial journey because Rosina is going to be talking about the entrepreneur side of things and how my life changed really with just a chance conversation. I have written a book recently, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later, which I started looking at female warriors and heroes, which, as I say, for me was a complete shift from anything I'd ever done before. And so when Rosina was talking about perhaps putting something on to help women understand how we succeed, and it's not that men are better or different or whatever, it's just that we do come from things from a slightly different angle to our lovely men folk. So I, in particular, want to talk to you about dealing with what I call the naysayers, the people who, when you say, oh, I'm thinking of doing this, or, you know, I'd like to do that, will hop in and say, oh, you can't do that, or well, that's not a very good idea, or whatever. And when I was putting this together, I remembered a story of a woman that I met, it would be 35 years ago, and how she had what I have called a secret to success story. And it was absolutely hilarious. And I just thought it was perfect for what we're doing today. And then I'm going to share a few final thoughts, but I want you to think about your what next. And if you're in a place that you're happy and content and feel successful, that's fine. But my belief is every now and again, we just get bored because we're human. And I'm loving working with women and helping them think about their what next. So I had been working as a personnel manager and then HR manager in-house. And I'd started working with high-performing teams, and I absolutely loved what I would see happening with groups of people who suddenly were able to make their own decisions, able to put forward ideas, all of those wonderful things. And I loved it so much that I decided to leave the beautiful high salary and company car and set up my own business, thinking how hard can it be? And so really, it became everything I had ever dreamed of. I had no idea how amazing it could be if I just did this one thing, which was working with high-performing teams. And so I worked around New Zealand, I worked in Australia, I worked in Hong Kong, I've been to Belgium, I've been to the UK, working with or presenting on the subject of high performing teams. And for 30 years, it was fabulous. And then after 30 years, suddenly it wasn't. It was, I'd got to a stage where I guess I was burned out. I think if I look back now on the health side of it, I was burned out. And so I had to start thinking about my what next. So it started with a chance conversation. I was chatting with my next door neighbor, Hannah, who she works in banking, and it was before COVID happened, but it was getting to a stage where she knew that as a woman in banking, she probably wasn't going to get much higher. She had 2 small children, could only work so many hours, and that, of course, was hindering her chances of advancement, really. And we started talking about the women that had impressed us or given us hope or, inspired us. And and the other thing also, she asked me, because I had just started writing, I had written books on leadership. She asked if I had written on a book on leadership for women. And I said, I haven't, I actually haven't. And literally within a couple of weeks, COVID hit. And so I had all this free time. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll write a book about leadership for women. And so I thought about, we talked about our heroes as we were growing up, but now I started thinking about the women that were to the forefront of leadership in our world today. And I chose 25 women that I called warriors, and you'll see them on the screen. We have Jane Fonda, we have Michelle Obama, we have Jane Goodman, we have Greta. Totally different age groups, totally different backgrounds, totally different leadership styles, but they triggered the stories. As I thought about warriors, I thought, not everybody can be a warrior or wants to be a warrior. So that's when I started thinking in terms of heroes, because I honestly believe that every woman in her own way is a hero. And it was a conversation I had with somebody about women. Basically every day we get up to feed the kids or to bring in the lambs or to help our husbands or partners with their businesses or whatever. And so in the book I've written, You Will Meet Hundreds of Heroes, the middle picture, those are the Parkland kids, the kids that survived that horrendous shooting. They have become modern day heroes. They are taking on the NRA, they're taking on the whole gun lobby, they're taking on the whole culture of guns in America. That takes courage. And I just had to include that little picture on the right. I'm assuming it's a little girl, but it doesn't really matter. I just love the picture. That was a little person who was with her mum on one of the women's marches, and I just thought that was so cool. So the book is about warriors and heroes. So when I started thinking in terms of, well, Rosina and I were talking about success, I had a good old think about, what is success to me? Because if you think in terms of success and you look at Jeff Bezos, who's probably the richest man in the world, that to a degree is what we hold up as success. And yet people in his organization barely earn a living income. A lot of them are on food stamps. I don't know how you can call that success. So for each of us, we have to work out what success means to us. Does it mean a fabulous income? It doesn't. There's nothing wrong with any of these. I had a fabulous income when I was doing those 30 years of working with teams. I have a gorgeous home. I have a lovely family. I had my own business. And for 30 years, I did follow my passion. And I am passionate about making a difference. And then, of course, I hit my brick wall, which was all of the things that I'd been doing no longer were the things that were bringing me joy. So I had to think in terms of, because I've got to an age and a stage where I guess I was thinking, well, and of course my husband was desperate for me to retire. And it was like, I don't even understand the word. How can anybody just stop doing the things that they love? So what had happened for me when I hit my brick wall was I had reached a point where, and an age where, I guess my self-belief had started to fade, because I was getting to an age where probably people were thinking, oh, well, we've seen her before, or we've heard her before, or she's getting a bit long in the tooth. So maybe we need to find a different or younger person. So self-belief as we go along the success journey is absolutely everything. And our self-belief is rooted in, sorry, if we could just go back one, Grant. Yeah, stay with that one. Our self-belief is rooted in our first 7 years of all of the things that we were told girls, women could do, should do, shouldn't do, all of those kind of things. So when we're chugging along being this success person, there's still a little voice at the back going, you can't do that, or you shouldn't be doing that, or you can't think like that. And so to a degree, we get that almost like we start to self-sabotage, if that makes sense. We hit our own wall, if you like. So the third quality, I believe, and this has been the interesting part of this journey, where I've been, after 30 odd years of working with mostly men, because all the owners and managers were male, I've started now working with women. And it's been really interesting as I've run workshops with my assumptions of what women wanted with success and what success means to them, that what they asked me to teach them wasn't how to be successful. It was actually how to start saying no. It was really bizarre because women get dragged into everybody else's life. Oh, can you just pick up my dry cleaner? Can you bring my homework? Or can you just this? Can you just do that? And we're so busy running around looking after everybody else. There's nothing wrong with caring for our families and our beloveds. But as long as we're running around chasing our tail, doing everybody else's bits and pieces, we're not actually doing anything for ourselves. So me teaching women now how to say no with love has been the single biggest outcome of this success thing. So it comes back to, so here you are, you're thinking, I am going to, or I plan to, or I am wanting to, or I am about to. And then people start saying, you can't do that, or that's not okay. Or if you do that, then who will look after me? So what I'm teaching women how to do is, with the no thing, is not to get dragged into other people's opinions of what you can do and what you can't do. And I'm teaching them some really interesting neutral phrases. One of the phrases I'm teaching women how to use when somebody says, oh, you can't do that, that you simply say, oh, that's interesting. And then you walk away or make a coffee or change the subject or do something different. Don't get sucked into other people's opinions of what you can and can't do. So if somebody says, well, I knew a friend who tried that and it really didn't work, and, she lost a lot of money and all of that, don't get sucked in. Use your neutral phrase. Say, well, thanks for sharing that thought with me. That was really interesting, and I'll certainly take that on board. And then walk away or make a coffee or change rooms. And then when people continue to say, oh, look, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Another neutral phrase is, look, that's cool, and I appreciate you putting that point of view. I'll keep you posted, and then walk away. Teaching women how not to get into arguments about the things they can't do is probably the most important success factor you'll ever have, because there are people out there who will always steal your dreams, will be happy for you not to do things, not because they don't love you or care about you, but because they want to keep you safe. They don't want you to be taking risks. They don't want you to be, putting yourself into a position where you might fail. And what's failure anyway? It's trying something that didn't work, and then you'll try something else. I'm teaching women how to use some different phrases to free up their lives from other people's dramas, from other people's demands, so that when they're no longer saying, being asked to do their things, they can start to do their own things. To start to use phrases like, I will, I can, I dare, absolutely, of course, pick me, when do I start? Don't get sucked into other people's negativity. I just wanted to share with you this amazing success story. So a friend of mine, this is a long time ago, probably about 35 years ago, in the days when we people who were in the speaking game were starting to write books. Because when you speak at a conference, people say, have you got a book I can buy, or, so I can take something away with me. And so this was a friend of mine who she decided that she was going to write her first book over a long weekend, as you do. and her book was to be called The Secrets to Success. So she borrowed her brother's very expensive laptop against many dire warnings of dire straits if she damaged it. And she was going to write it over a long weekend. So on the Friday night, she wrote her notes about what the book was going to be about. So she started typing on the Saturday morning, and within a very short space of time, the S on the keyboard stuck. So she didn't have an S. So writing a book about the secrets to success with no S's proved quite a challenge. So she got to a point where she thought, okay, well, I can either not write a book this weekend, or I can write a book with no S's. She didn't even know enough about technology to be able to put an asterisk in so that she could go back later and undo the asterisks and put the S's in. So on the Tuesday morning, she went to the shops, got a pipe cleaner, poked a piece of dust out, and went back and put all the S's back in. So our lives are like that. When we're faced with an opportunity to succeed, to say yes, there might be a fur ball or a piece of fluff, and you start to think, okay, well, I can either do that regardless, or I can walk away. Please don't walk away. If you want to do something, if you are determined that you are going to do something, then don't let anybody or anything get in your way. Remember the secrets to success. So I want to give you these few final thoughts. If you were to now meet your 9-year-old self or your 10-year-old self, and you were to explain to her that her dream had been to whatever, and you are now at whatever age you are, and you haven't done what that girl wanted to do, imagine you telling her why you didn't achieve what it was she wanted to do. So please remember this, that we owe ourselves the biggest apologies for putting up with the things along our lives that we didn't deserve, or the people who dragged us away from the thing that we were determined to do. When I was researching the heroes, this came out somewhere, I read it somewhere, and it's that you never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice. And I think all of us are being faced with that particular one at the moment. There's so many things happening, so many challenges, COVID, economy, all of those things. If we get tapped into all of that negativity, we will be knocked off track. Every day, get up and be your strongest possible self. So the final thought, and I loved this one. This is also one I found when I was reading about women. She believed she could, so she did. Don't let anyone knock you off your dream. So the final thoughts are this. In the workshops that I'm teaching women, because I get a lot of older women, mostly 45 plus, who come along and say, look, I brought my kids up, I had lots of dreams, but I'm too old. My belief is we're never too old and it's never too late. I ask them, where would you aim if you knew you couldn't fail? I tell them, be yourself, because everybody else is taken. We bend ourselves out of shape, don't we, to appease other people. And I always ask, if you're not going to do that, then who will? And if you're not going to do it now, then when will you do it? Will you let another 5 years pass and another 10 years? And of course, my favorite quote here from Richard Bach is, if you think your mission on life is finished, if you're alive, it isn't. The book that I wrote was called Women Behaving Courageously, How Gutsy Women, Young and Old, Are Transforming the World, because we are. I believe we've got to a stage in the world where our values have to shift. And I believe it's women's values that will take us forward to the next growth of the planet, business, society, the constant search for more and more stuff isn't, I believe, sustainable. So if you would like a copy of my book as an ebook, all you have to do is email me and I will send you a full copy, and you will meet my 25 warriors and my hundreds of heroes. So that's me. So thank you so much for your time. And I'm sorry I didn't get my slides working. Yeah, and thank you, Grant, for helping me through that.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Anne. And we've had some really lovely comments come through in the chat. very inspirational and very much an opportunity to reflect on things that have gone on in the past. And as you say, Anne, it's never too late. So very much looking forward to those new opportunities. So our second speaker for this afternoon is Rosina Webb from Energize Marketing Agency. And Rosina is going to build on some of the foundations that Anne has already started by focusing in specifically on the entrepreneurial aspects of female business. She's going to share with us specifically on those different areas and take up the next steps in terms of where to from here to get into some of those enterprising activities and taking an entrepreneurial spirit into everything that happens. So, Rosina, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Grant. I'll just get my presentation up. So, welcome everyone. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this webinar with Anne for some time. So, yeah, really looking forward to this. So, wasting no more time, a little bit about me before we kick into the rich stuff. So 36 round robin about me. Marketing has always been part of my DNA. My first marketing job, gosh, many moons ago, was a promotions manager at a Westpac shopping centre. And leaving there 10 years later as the marketing director for New Zealand. Then I relentlessly pursued working for New Zealand's what I call most hated brands. That's Sky City, Westpac, Auckland Council and Telecom. These marketing roles were tough going and so were their cultures. And I couldn't see my career enduring much more of the corporate rat race. So like all good entrepreneurs, and I guess like many of you listening today, I started my own business. So 12 years ago, Energize was born, which today is a brand and digital agency employing 7 people with a bunch of clients here in Parnell. Last year, I again got a little bit restless and I developed another business called SME School, so SME School, which is a marketing digital school for SMEs. And just this year, She was created. So CHE was created, which is something that's part of SME School. And I guess is very much talking a little bit about what Anne was talking about. It's a way of me giving back to female entrepreneurs. It's very much based on the concept of women helping women to become successful and prosperous business owners. It's been tremendously successful in its very short life of 6 months. So it's only 6 months young, with our She community now well over 100 women strong. And later I'll give you an invite to be part of that success. Okay, so, you know, as this presentation is going to build on the qualities of Anne's incredibly insightful and very thought and feeling provoking presentation that we've just heard. These qualities have a strong focus on female entrepreneurship. And, you know, a lot of what Anne talked about was about mindset. And there's a big, big correlation between mindset and business performance. We think we need all sorts of skills and resources and finances and all this kind of stuff. But to be very honest, if our mindset isn't right, neither will be our business. Let me use it as an example where I often see mindset and business performance playing out. So you can often see it in sales. And just think about the last time, you know, you tried to sell someone either face-to-face or, you know, online, you know, the last time that happened. And often when we're in that doing that stuff, you need to overcome either new client or customer objections. And so those objections may be about price, they may be about process, they may be about a lot of things. But first of all, to be able to do that well, you need to overcome your own objections first, facing up and front on to what your limiting beliefs that you have and may be holding you back. So, you know, if a client or a new customer is pushing back on price, for example, when you present your proposal that you've labored so long over, and you yourself don't fully believe you are worth what you are charging, Of course, you will feel uncomfortable during these conversations, and they inevitably end with you giving in and charging less and not fighting harder in your corner. And ultimately, that's another blow to your confidence, because you're now not working for what you're worth. And look, can I say as a sideline, I often say to my clients, let me tell you that no one will ever pay for what you're worth, because literally they can't afford it. No one can afford it. However, they will pay for your time. So change the mindset about your value and fight and believe for what you're worth. Another example is resilience. So resilience is another huge performance blocker. And by resilience, you know, when the tough gets going and things don't go as planned. And this is not, you know, if it's going to happen, it will happen. It's just when. As a business owner of 12 years, it's just when. So, you know, how do you deal, and do kind of like a personal inventory while we're talking, how do you deal with these things is super important to your business success. Dealing with adversity and dealing with what I call the, excuse my language here, the oh shit moments, is something you learn. And often we learn it through our childhood, or we earn it at a very, very early age. And in some cases, like me, I just didn't get to learn it. So if your ability to get up, grow in confidence after each knock is not in your armory, it needs to be. Otherwise, you will shrink along with your business. And look, I'll use me as an example. You know, when I was growing up, I wasn't really showing resilience in our house. We had a lot of conflict, a lot of arguing, but I never ever saw that being resolved successfully, and I never ever saw that being played out well. So I didn't actually have a strong role model or blueprint to take into my business around resilience. And, you know, I had to learn that as an adult. I had to learn that as an entrepreneur and a business owner, because what I found that I would do is that after each knock, I just got more resentful and smaller and smaller. And guess what? So did my company. So my profits shrank, my turnover shrank. So I really had to look at that really hard and learn those skills about going, no, it's not always going to turn out well, but that's okay. You don't need to take it personally. Stand up, dust off those, dust off that bad karma, and keep going and learn from it. Don't let it stop you going forward. So another quality that I think is really important for female entrepreneurs is around embracing what you enjoy. You know, then work out how to make it a profitable business. You know, things don't have to be hard. You know, think about what you really enjoy, because there's a strong likelihood that if you enjoy something, you're good at it. So let me say that again. There is a strong likelihood that if you enjoy something, you are going to be good at it. You may not be good at it now, but it could be something that you can work on. And this needs to be a really good starting point for you as an entrepreneur. You know, and likewise, if you know something and you know something really, really well, you have a business, especially a coaching business in this advice economy era. And I'll talk about that, you know, that's for another topic, another webinar, another day. But unfortunately, ideas and embracing what your ideas don't make money. What makes money is when you learn how to monetize it, when you learn out how to make a living out of it. So coming from a marketing background, you need to start with the market to validate this idea. So you need to start asking questions around, does my idea really solve a problem worth solving? Will people pay for it? Which is really big, because if it's not, they're not going to pay for it, you're not going to be able to make a business out of it. Is someone already doing it? or how can I do it differently? So these are core questions that we need to actually ask on our journey to be able to monetize our businesses. Let me give you an example of someone that we just recently worked with to give you some context to it. So we worked with a company and they're digital trainers. So they teach people how to navigate the digital landscape, whether it's using AdWords, social media, how to build a very unsophisticated website, or about SEO optimization. So you kind of get what I'm talking about in terms of them being digital trainers. One of the things that is very in vogue at the moment and very current is online learning. So they would think about doing online digital courses. Unfortunately, this market is absolutely saturated. The government's even paying people to provide free training. So it is absolutely saturated, and it was very, very hard for my client to become a digital trainer online and to find a way in. So we did some research, and I'm going to share in the next slide our approach to some of that research. But what we found was that they didn't necessarily need to present their training online. In fact, through our research, we found that there was a large section of the market that were quite happy to do face-to-face training. So, our typical training face-to-face. And the people that really wanted that tended to be people where English was their second language. It wasn't their first language, it was English as a second language. They preferred the face-to-face model. Now, it just so happened that the owner of the digital training business, English was not his first language at all. And also a lot of his staff, it wasn't. So it just was a fit, a really, really good fit. So yeah, as of a few months ago, he's doing classroom teaching and he's packing it full of people where English is the second language. Now, if he tried to actually do online training, he would have not succeeded at all. So this is about validating your ideas. And on this, my next slide here, we talk here a lot around our approach. So here are this is the approach that we use for our digital trainer when we were doing our research. It's called the 3 foundational C's of entrepreneurial marketing. So customer, competitor gaps, and your competence, what you enjoy. So your customers, competitors, and you, your competence, your strength, the stuff that you enjoy. When these overlap, as it is here with the burgundy star, where you have leveraged your strengths against your competitor gaps and knowing the needs and wants of your customers, you have the foundations for success and you have growth. In our next webinar, we'll explore this more, giving you some concrete templates to work through our 3 C's. And after you've kind of conquered the 3 C's and come out with some revelations, just like we did with our digital trainer, you need to work through such things as pricing and how people can access or buy your products and services and how you promote them, so forth. So yeah, an important part of a very key quality for entrepreneurs in general. And lastly, our last quality is embrace what it is to be a female entrepreneur, then work out how to integrate this into your everyday. And I think Anne gave some very, very key advice around this. So, just to add to that, this is about the confidence to be you, the confidence to be you. No one can be better at being you than you. We don't need to trample over everyone to achieve our goals if that is not who you are. As women, we are known for being collaborators, nurturers, empathizers, coaches, team players. So, play to those strengths if you identify with those. And find your tribe, find your community that believes what you do. So look, as an example, and I'll use myself as an example, and love some of the phrasing that Anne has said, because this just adds to some of that phrasing. Particularly in meetings, I would often see client meetings and new business meetings. I would often see people within organizations having to shout someone down or put someone down in order to get their point across. And I really found that uncomfortable. That's not me. And I tried to do it and it wasn't me. And because I tried to do it, it never came across well because it wasn't part of who I was as a person and as a woman. So I have these 5 little words that I now use. So I came up with my own solution. And my 5 little words, when I see something quite different or I don't hear something that I agree with, my 5 little words are, I have a different perspective. So let me say that again. I have a different perspective. And from there, I go on and tell the group that I'm working with why I see something quite different. So for me, it was non-aggressive way to start, telling them why I perhaps didn't agree with their point of view, and it was quite engaging. So that's just something that I mean, if you want to use it, go for it. But there'll be 100 ways that you can think about some words that actually express who you are, so that you can actually have those conversations on your terms as to who you are and not have to negotiate on someone else's terms. And again, you being you. So some key tips to integrating this into our everyday and still surviving in the entrepreneurial world where, both men and women survive. So my first tip around integrating it into the everyday is around, don't be afraid to fail. So just, this is an extension of some of the rich stuff that Anne talked about. By fearing failure, women often don't leap into entrepreneurship. In fact, oddly enough, men do it 1,000 rates. Women go in with all that languaging that Anne was talking about. We can't, we shouldn't, all those kind of things. And we just don't take that leap. Well, if famous and successful female entrepreneurs such as, Coco Chanel, Oprah Winfrey, and our very own Cecilia Robinson from My Food Bag allowed failure to hold them back, our world would be an entirely different place. And look, can I remind you that fear is natural. Fear is the most natural emotion that everyone has. But overcoming fear is powerful. That's the clinch thing. Overcoming it is very, very powerful. For a long time, I know what it's like to sit in fear, sit in it and anxiety starts and overwhelm starts. And again, it's a race to the bottom. So don't sit in it. Don't stay stuck. Get out, talk to someone, do something that you need to do to be able to overcome it and to be far more powerful than what it is. Secondly, conversely, never fear asking for help. Oh, wow. Never fear asking for help. So whether faced with a task that we don't know how to do, there are not enough hours in the day to do, or merely, you just can't do it. There's a bunch of stuff that I can do. By learning to ask for help, women entrepreneurs can reveal their strength, not their weakness. My point being, it is not weakness to ask for help. By not asking for help, especially in business, we are utilizing the time and efforts that could have been focused in a better way. So again, I say, play to your strengths, find someone else to mop up those weaknesses. And lastly, empower those around you by not always needing credit, and isn't that a very manly trait? By providing an opportunity for others, by empowering others, female entrepreneurs can attract the best of the best employees, the best mentors, the best clients, and so on. People want to work with you and for you. So look, that's just 3 ways that I've found for me personally to be very beneficial and tangible that I try to do every day as a living, growing female entrepreneur. And as I said at the very beginning, here's an invite that I spoke about at the very beginning. So Look, we believe there's 3 pillars of entrepreneurship. Firstly, mindset. So that why it was so important for me and Anne to present this to you today. And I hope you've got some insights to really get hold of that mindset. And that is something that you can change. You know, you're not born with the mindset you've got now. You know, I think, you know, my example about resilience, I've learned that, you know, so you can overcome some of these things that are holding your business back. Secondly, skill set. You know, we've got to have skills and as one of our entrepreneurial pillars. And we'll talk about that in another webinar later. And thirdly, community. That is the 3rd pillar of entrepreneurship. And that is what we've built at She, a community based on the concept of women helping women to become successful business owners and entrepreneurs. I invite you all to come along to our next very hands-on networking session. In fact, just next week, next Tuesday, in fact. So literally 7 days time here in Parnell, where our mission is to give first, not get first. So let me say that again. Our mission is to give first, not get first. We really are the home for those who have found traditional networking difficult. Our women are inspired by what Anne and I have talked here about today. So if you like what you have heard during this webinar, She is the home for you. Please register via our website. So it's www.smeschool.co.nz/events. It's free. It costs you nothing to come and join us. And probably for you, the start of a very meaningful entrepreneurial journey. And, you know, I look forward to seeing you there hopefully next week. And very, very last is any questions regarding this webinar, please contact me. My email is here, rosina@energize.net.nz, and my phone number, and obviously LinkedIn details. So thank you for listening. I hope that there are some takeaways there for you, and we can tame the beast by taming our mind. So thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Rosina, and also earlier to Anne. So ladies, if you'd like to both come back on screen now, now's probably a great time for anybody who would like to ask a question from any one of the presentations. Please just feel free to pop that inside the chat window and I'll read it out. So Rosina, during your presentation, you talked quite a bit about the confidence to be you and being able to put that authentic approach into the way in which you do conduct a business or start a new business. So how important is it to overcome that? You know, some people suffer from what you might call a kind of imposter syndrome, and recognizing that they are in fact good enough. What sort of advice do you have for people that really need to tackle that issue and to put themselves in the front seat when it comes to starting business?
Look, I think it's so often we, as women, we totally concentrate on the things that we don't think we are good at. So we tell ourselves, oh, you know, I need to earn the right. Well, you don't need to earn any right, quite frankly. You know, you wake up, that's your right. So, or someone else can do it better. Well, no one can do it better than you. So it's kind of all those negatives that come into play. It's actually dispelling those and just focusing on, well, what can I do today? And take it one day at a time. You know, what can I do today? And reminding ourselves that, you know, we are here, we do have gifts to share, and just really getting into that positive frame instead of dipping into that negative stuff all the time. You know, it's very, very soul destroying. So my first one is, you know, just to focus on those positives. Look, there is a little bit of sometimes fake it till you make it. You know, it's just like, I'm just gonna, you know, it's okay to do that for a little while, you know, to do it. But you've got to actually say those positives, and don't feel that you're an imposter, you know, right at the beginning. You know, you're here, you don't have to earn the right, you've got gifts, and there's people that you need to share them with. Let's go find them. Did I tell myself that every single day? Absolutely, I told myself 12 years ago when I had no clients, a cracked out car, and an equally cracked out laptop. And I knew 100 people that had those things better than me. But you know, focusing on the positives, I got my first client within 5 weeks. So it can be done, but it can't be done with a negative mindset. And you may have some to share on that as well.
Yeah, well, it comes back to that self-belief thing. I don't know why it is that we women seem to have such a low self-belief. We seem to mastermind in it. You meet many men, and they wouldn't even understand if you said low self-belief. It's like, what? So one of the things I do in my women's workshops, I get them to write down 5 things that they're really rubbish at, and they find that really easy. And then I get them to write down 6 things that they're really good at, and they struggle.
Yeah.
They struggle. It's like, okay. So what I tell women is every day, make sure you have get a quote or a motivational something every single day, and start your day with a motivational quote. I started a Monday motivator for all the women that have been in my workshops, and I do it as much as anything for me. So I send out my Monday motivator, and within minutes, people are coming back saying, oh, I needed to hear that today. I have one woman, if I'm running late with my motivator, she gives me heaps. Where's my motivator? The other thing I also think is surround yourself with people who lift you, not drag you down. And I know that's hard because our families, we've talked about this, our families can be the ones that drag us down the most. So I'm not saying quit your family. I'm not saying become an orphan. I'm simply saying choose how much time you spend with the people that are in your family, but the ones that drain you. And it comes back to that thing that I talked about, which is don't get into arguments with them. Use your neutral sayings. I loved yours, Rosina, that you had there for the meetings, which is, that's interesting. You know, if your mum says, you'll never be able to do that, say, that's interesting, mum, and then go make her a cup of tea. Don't get involved in the conversation. You know, it's you have to put something into you every single day. It's not being selfish. It's getting that self-belief up every single day in some way, shape or form, and going to bed at the end of the day. I teach all my women to keep a journal. Every night, write in all the shit that's happened to you today, excuse my French, and then write all the brilliant things that have happened to you. Because if we go to bed with the negative stuff, we wake up with the negative stuff. So make sure you end your day with the good things, even if there's only one good thing, like the heel didn't fall off my shoe today. I don't know. Make sure at the end of your day, you make something that you're grateful for, or something great that happened. You know, it's such a cycle, and it doesn't take much, Rosina, you've taught it. It doesn't take much to knock us off our pedestal, does it? You know, we're chugging along thinking, oh yeah, I'm starting to get a bit cool here. And then something will come along and go, oh no, maybe I'm not so cool after all. And we've got to start again, you know. I don't know why women should be injected with a positivity gene at birth.
I think just to follow on from Anne too, someone told me very early on, you know, don't go duck shooting where there's no ducks. So go duck shooting, you know, where people like you are, you know, and I think that's been partly to the success of She, and Anne was our opening speaker there, is that, you know, there's like-minded, positive people there.
Yeah.
It's good to mix with them, right? Instead of being in the pity pot the whole time and isolating yourself.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you very much, ladies. Now we're coming up towards the top of the hour. So perhaps first from Anne and then from Rosina, if we could just get a couple of sentences in summary for some takeaway thoughts for the people who have joined us on today's webinar. Anne, what would you like to say?
Okay, well, on the back of my card, I've got to try and be calm when I read this because I do get a bit emotional about it. It says this: there's a vitality, a life force, an energy that is translated through you into action. And because there's only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. If you block it, and gosh, we're good at blocking it, it will never exist again. It will be lost. Don't die with your music still in you. That's my final thought.
Wow, hard to follow on from that, Miss Anne Andrews.
Sorry.
I think mindset is overlooked a lot. I think we go straight to skill set. You know, as I said, there's 3 things around mindset, community, and skill set. But I think we as entrepreneurs, but we go straight to skill set. I think mindset is far more important. It is far more important. It is, you know, you can outsource skills, but you can't outsource what you think about and what you feel about every day.
Yeah.
So do an inventory now, you know, do it after this webinar about where you think some of your blocks are, because I can tell you, when you remove those blocks, you're going to unleash the performance of your business. And I've been on the good side of that, and I've been on the bad side of it. I blamed everything else for my business not working, right from technology to not knowing enough, whatever. But the key to it was my mind. My key to it was my mind. So yeah, harness the beast, guys. Now harness the beast, and when you harness the beast and you leverage your strengths, the key's right there.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been wonderful to be able to host
Bye.
both Anne and Rosina, and we look forward to hopefully some inspiration and getting some feedback from you on how you found today's session. On behalf of everybody listening, thank you so much for the time today, and we look forward to seeing you again at a future webinar. Good afternoon.
And thank you,
Grant.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.